Welcome everybody to another episode of Trek Talk. It's a small world edition. I'm Techman 16.
I'm Strange Kirk.
And I'm Handy.
All right, today we got Mud up here. Mud, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
And our returning champion, Incho, is back. Incho is going to talk about how he broke the game yet again with multiple ships, I guess, right?
Oh yeah, it was definitely me. Not Scott at all.
I mean, you're the guy. What is it? You're the Chinese hacking trust fund kid and living in his mom's basement who makes all those bots that force Scopely to change its rules, right?
I do love how it just grows. Like there's not a change in the rumor, but there's just things added onto it.
Now I'll start the rumor that you're a bot coder that forced Scopely to change their hostiles.
Absolutely, I take credit for everything here and at home.
It's all Inco's fault. So the only reason that anybody would hit 1,500 hostiles a day or more is because of this guy. I mean, but so wait, who the hell hits 1,500 hostiles a day? I have to know.
I do.
You hit 1,500 hostiles a day?
Yeah, I've been actually. It's kind of annoying. I really wish they would make a little announcement or something that lets you know, because once you've grinded because it takes 2.5 hours. So
how many ships do you grind with?
4.
So I have a question about that. Is that 1,500 hostiles total?
Total.
Or you can only get 1,500 chests?
1,500 hostiles total. 1,500 kills of red things.
So at my ratio, I get maybe 300 out of that as far as the chests, no matter what level hostile I'm grinding.
Here's my problem with this new rule. What about events, grinding events? So everybody gets up to 1,500 and then nobody's score gets any bigger? Like, how the fuck does that make sense?
Well, I mean, obviously, like most of the things they do in this game, it's not totally thought through. I went and posted on DJ site and whatever, like just during the Thanksgiving thing. Then one day, I had roughly, in order to complete events for that day, I had roughly 1,000 kills had to be done. Okay, so if you want me to do this, and they expect everybody to be able to complete their events, but if I do 50% above that, then I'm breaking the game or whatever. How does that make any sense? So
It's not breaking the game. Scopely is a bunch of asshole idiots.
not gonna argue.
That's such crap. They just don't want people to progress. That's the only reason. They're trying to throttle people.
Yeah.
As usual.
I mean, it's not surprising.
It's like putting a big wood block underneath the gas pedal of your kid's car.
Well, I mean, the whole point is that nobody was supposed to advance so quickly, and now they've underestimated the people's ability to progress through the game, that they're like, woohoo, wait. We released stuff, but we don't know how to use it yet. So crap. What do we do?
It's true. Well, that's why it makes it even more important. I mean, again, most people, they claim this is 0.01% is the claim, which, number one, I call bullshit. But, if you are a heavy grinder, then it makes it even more important to do what we had talked about a few weeks ago of you really need to maximize how you're getting your rep. Using the right ships, using the right bonuses and things like that, so you get more bang for your buck, which, I would argue is important. I don't particularly if you do 200 kills in a day, that makes it very important as well. It's important for everybody to do that because, more efficient is more efficient.
Yeah, because I can't imagine 200 kills a day or more than that. I mean, I mainly get, I think my maximum for reds probably about 100 to 150, just for all the different reds I kill. But that's just my gameplay, and I'm using mainly 2 ships.
But yeah, I mean that's where you work out your strategy. If you want to do it, you got to do it. You have to do it right then. But that does count for all reds. So the interesting thing, so if you go and do a bunch of grinding, let's say in the morning or whatever, while because here in China in the basement, I'm in a different time zone, right? So this goes from event reset to event reset. So if I do a whole bunch of grinding and I'm waiting for Swarm Sunday to start and I've already hit that mark, you will not be able to do your Swarm Sunday because you don't get any credit for swarms because they're red.
By the way, for being in China, you have a great accent.
Well, we're taught by the party, so that we, blend in well for when we invade. It's another story. I'd do a different episode for it.
Oh no, I'm curious to talk about it now. How about you guys?
Moving on.
All right, let's back up a little bit, and because I usually start off the episode with Star Trek news, actual Star Trek. Anybody watch the latest episode of Discovery and the last couple episodes of Prodigy? Anybody? I know Handy doesn't because he doesn't like Star Trek.
That's a blatant lie. I just don't like new Trek. I will put Deep Space Nine or whatever on repeat in the background all day long, just fine. But the new shit, fine.
All right, Kirk, did you watch it?
Just Prodigy.
Just Prodigy. What'd you think?
It was okay. I mean, let's face it, man. It's a kid's cartoon, right? So, not really anything earth-shattering going on there.
Well, it's interesting that they reuse some of the old tropes in like the planet that's alive trying to eat you, trying to convince you that you see what you want to see, so you stay and whatnot. So it's kind of like a tried and true Trek like episode handle, if you will, constantly that they recycle, I guess, which is okay because I don't mind because it's actually Star Trek, unlike Discovery. I don't know if anybody's seen the first few episodes of season 4. Anyway, so anybody that hasn't watched it yet, the season starts out with basically the aftermath of the burn. Apparently, Saru has permanently lost his job as captain by being on PTO. No OSHA violations there. And then there is an anomaly, a gravitational anomaly that destroyed an entire planet. Because we haven't seen that in J.J. Abrams' Trek with destruction of Romulus and destruction of Vulcan. Hey Darius, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, Ted.
So how do you like Discovery?
I will give Discovery about half as many points as I give Prodigy for reusing tropes.
Yeah.
At least with Prodigy, it's novel, and anyone could hear tropes over Janeway's, dark velvet voice any day of the week, versus like Michael Burnham staring weepily into a camera.
Yeah. Or the fact that so spoiler alert, the gravitational anomaly is a few light years in length. I'm like, oh great, we have a gravitational anomaly that seems to be alive, and it's just gigantic, and can destroy planets, no problem.
Well, and the weird part too is when they zoom out at the end of the second episode, they're showing the sort of gravitational lensing look effect, which is actually in the intro to Prodigy.
Yes, well, the lens, I've seen it before, and it's kind of a reuse of what physicists have modeled to be a black hole. So I don't know if anybody remembers in season 2 of Discovery, when Burnham takes Spock to see the Talosians, it's like they arrive at this black hole, and then Spock, hits the throttle to go into the black hole, and it's really an illusion created by the Talosians.
Because, why wouldn't they? That's what they do.
Right, to obscure, Talos 4 into a giant black hole. But that particular disc shape is what I've seen in like many documentaries about spatial anomalies using actual physicists to talk about the universe. And
that particular lensing is what they used. Remember when they took the picture of the accretion disk with, I think it was Hubble?
Yeah.
Because they talked about how they could take a picture around it because of the lensing of the light around the thing. So they're basically using the inference of absence, if you will, to take a picture. But it's a nice effect. It's very cool. They use lots of relatively realistic sounding physics. But, you have moments where you get, what's their name? Not, what do I want to always call Adira? Adele.
Adira?
Yeah, I want to call them Adele, and use my pronouns properly because I'm a good boy. So yes. You get that moment where they're arguing with Tilly, and it's a good episode in the sense that like there's some cool shit that happens, but it's also very, very Star Trek Discovery on brand.
Yes.
Oh, it's just silly in the entire universe. This thing that is never going to happen ever just happens to hit one of the main characters' planets of all the places in this infinite universe that we have. It just happens to hit like one of the lead roles planets and blows it up. Like come on, man. Let's.
Yeah, and why would the planet be like a smoldering cinder instead of just being like real freaking dust? You know?
Right. That's
Yeah. Apparently, it sets everything on fire.
because gravity causes fire. We all know that. Duh. So that was
It could be worse, right? It could be fights in turbo lifts.
that open up both ways when there's only one door to get in.
I've been in secret elevators that do that in the back. You know, you never know. But yeah, no, I
And then the other thing is what I actually like that they did is they paired two people that haven't really interacted before between Stamets and Booker, which is a very actually Trek thing to do. You have all these odd pairings so that you build interconnecting relationships. But boy, was that the most awkward pairing I've ever seen. It was just
I want to give him a small amount of credit, Tech, for at the end, Stamets kind of being human about it, you know, and saying thank you for saving his family, because that's exactly what happened, right? I mean, Book saved the freaking day for them.
yes.
Although I did laugh when he said, "What are you going to do? Blow me out an airlock?" earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's like too soon, I mean, okay, that's funny.
Yes.
I don't know if I could make that joke that quick, but that's funny.
It is funny. It's also like I don't know. I feel this is more soap opera acting or commercial acting than it was ever Star Trek acting. Because Star Trek they're always like stoic characters, maybe showing some emotion, talking about the situation at hand. And here Captain Burnham is like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. But he thinks he's right.
Well, that's okay. She gets First Officer Saru at the end. You never finished your part about the Saru arc, the Saru loop, if you will.
So he's an elder now, and he's council and all the OSHA violations, and then Sukal's like, you need to go back to Discovery. I'm sorry, I was just like, you went to put Sukal back to Kaminar, and then you took a leave of absence, and then you lost your job by taking a leave of absence, and you're like, oh, I should stay here, and then somebody else, no, you should really go back, and then he comes back, he's like, I'd be honored to be your number one. That bugs me the wrong way. Like he was the captain, he left. He was never offered the command of Discovery back. He was offered a command of a different ship.
The Sojourner, yeah.
That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. But that's Discovery for you. What do you like most about Prodigy then?
I'm glad that they finally got a chance to use the Protostar drive.
Yeah, I had some serious questions about that because, as far as I know, this takes place 5 years after Voyager, and I didn't realize Starfleet already developed a Protostar drive.
There was a reference to one of the different types of ways they were working with the Slipstream drive, which is what they tried to use to pick up the one that had the extra doctor on it.
Yes.
EMH2, when he argues with that Andy, what's his face. But one of the alternatives was a Protostar or
On the Prometheus?
yes. The Prometheus has a Slipstream drive, I believe.
Are you sure about that? I don't think it has.
I know it's split into stupid parts, but I think it might have. It's not the one that well, I don't know. Book canon is different than Trek canon, but you know.
Oh, okay.
I'm nerding out on that one.
That's right, because I don't recall that the Prometheus. I know the Prometheus could do the whole tripart thing, but I don't remember. Let's look this up. It's got a warp factor of 9.99, so that's not Slipstream.
That's probably a memory alpha.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a Star Trek Prometheus novel series. Okay, so you're probably right about that. That it had some sort of.
Yeah, book canon would be different though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, regular alpha canon, the Protostar drive / Slipstream. It worked in Voyager for a little bit, but it didn't. What was it? Harry Kim had to send a message back to Harry Kim through Sevens.
Well, then they also become like weird lizard fish and have babies if they go too fast. Remember?
That's right. Warp 10. Yeah, you accelerate evolution into gigantic salamanders. I wonder if they if Janeway and Paris's offspring become very intelligent life forms.
I'm not sure I want to know.
Well, I mean, Voyager did do an episode where our dinosaurs went up into space and became an advanced civilization.
You mean the Gorn?
No.
I know.
I mean, I guess that's a reuse of a Trek trope. Just make lizard people and go up into space. All right. Well, I guess we're all curious to see what happens, how this anomaly is alive, and I bet it has to do with Burnham's father this time,
So instead of her mommy? Yeah, that's fair.
right? Because apparently her father was killed, but they could always retcon it to, oh, he wasn't killed and he went into the future and caused an anomaly.
I mean, you wouldn't be far off, probably.
Yeah, or he merged with the. Oh, by the way, did you notice how they're calling the artificial intelligence Zora now on Discovery?
I did, but that's because she decided to name herself Zora last season, I think, and they've kind of just glossed over it, right?
Well, there was a short trek about the Discovery being abandoned for about 1,000 years, and Zora became sentient, and she tried to keep that.
Oh, right, because that was in Eclipso, right?
Yes, exactly. So I guess they're building towards that moment where Discovery has to abandon ship for a little bit. Or maybe we'll get into it this season where it's a time traveling looping anomaly because gravity can warp space time. So Discovery crew has to leave. Discovery's there, then they come back to it, and they realize, oh, Zora, you're a sentient ship now. Just do all the work for us. Why do you even need a crew?
They'll be like the crew from from the Pixar movie where they're all just too heavy to move.
Wally.
Yes. Instead of maybe teary, they're all just crying.
I can never sit through the entire movie. Wally, I can never sit through it because there's no dialogue. I fall asleep. Anyways, thanks Darius for nerding out with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, emergency nerd. Just break glass in case of emergency. You got it.
There you go. Why don't we go back to talk about shit that most people want to hear about? And since apparently I'm supposed to be a reporter here, and this is news
And science. I heard it in Galaxy Chat.
and science, by the way. Well, we did talk about protostars and gravitational anomalies and stuff. Epi and Incho were here last week talking, slinging nice compliments to one another about each other's alliance. And apparently the war's over? Mud, what happened with that, dude?
So basically we went, 7 days, we killed a bunch of ships, they killed a bunch of ships, and that was pretty much it. Maybe it was all 10 days. All I know is we pretty much went through the entire TC takeover. Epi handles most of the diplo, so we really don't want to say anything to contradict anything that Epi has done. He does great work for the Alliance. Couldn't really ask for a better co-admiral, I guess, than the guy. So hats off to Epi.
So how did it end? Was it just like you guys got together and said, all right, war's done?
Yeah. I mean, 30 days, non-aggression, zero contact during that 30 days. It's been fun making sure that...
Does this count? Does this count as contact? This show?
Well, as long as Inch and Handy don't touch me, I mean, I guess if they do, I'll just lean into it.
Definitely lean into it.
Incho, can you touch Mud for me?
I mean, do you have the not safe for work thing checked? I mean, we can go there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We just double checking, man. My only requirement is I got to be Big Spoon. I'm too tall.
Well, you've got the 7 shifts, so yeah, you can be Big Spoon.
Every time I upload it, it's always explicit and it's not safe for kids under 18. So feel free, have at it.
So yeah, we're working towards a lasting peace because it's been kind of a pattern. And what I've noticed with this game more than anything else is that we all play from our own perspective, and all of us have a real hard time dealing with other people's perspectives if it doesn't agree.
That's accurate.
So the plan is I'm supposed to be coming over to NONA now. I believe that's still the plan. And Strange Kirk has already come over, made his appearance yesterday, which welcome stream, Kirk. Hopefully you're getting to see who we really are a little more.
It's at this point, it's a suggestion. Me and Inch think it's a good idea.
Right.
When we spoke about it, we just have to talk to our people and get it through a few of their thick skulls that it's not the end of the world if Mud comes and visits. You know?
Oh, please tell me who thinks it's the end of the world. Who thinks the world?
You know how dramatic people get in this game. It's ridiculous. It's like,
No.
you'd think I was like kidnapping their child for a few weeks. It's like, oh my god, I couldn't possibly.
Dude, that'd be awesome, would you?
Yeah, right.
Well, on that note, let me go ahead and put a step forward and put an apology out to those people. I know that in game, I can be, I guess, abrasive. And so if something I've said has hurt your feelings, I really do apologize. In the end, it is a game. It's never my intent to belittle someone or cause them any stress in the game. I talk trash, people talk trash back. Until it gets into the vulgarity part, it's really not a problem.
You know, I've noticed that there are a lot of people that can banter like that and they're fine with it, right? Like, I think you're just one of those people that can talk trash back and forth and then go sit down for a cup of tea with the person and have a civil conversation. But most people aren't like that, believe it or not. Most people cannot separate those things. They take it personally, and they may banter back or they may pretend that it doesn't get to them, but it does. People hold grudges in this game. People just like anything you say, they take it literally and fixate on stuff, and it's just ridiculous.
And it's true, and we're all guilty of it, Handy. I can't say that I don't still have, one or two people on my block list that I just don't want to talk to because every time I do, it's, it goes down into the personal stuff. And I try to keep my comments game related. Again, no excuses. My full apology and that olive branch to anybody that I've offended in the past. That includes anybody whose name I've made fun of, whether it be Trojan Magnum, Jeff, TwistedEvil, KJ the Fly Guy, although I don't think I've said that one out.
Yeah, leave KJ out of this, please. Oh God.
Yeah, he's been oddly quiet, and let's keep it that way.
Yeah, I second that motion.
I think everybody seconds that motion. I think it's universal.
Player perspective, I get it. You guys think that we're coming after you again and again and again. And Handy, you can speak to this. How many times have I modified my gameplay or how I talk in general chat just to not be a headache?
Many times. Every time I've come to you guys and really talked to you or Epi and been like, hey man, this isn't cool, you guys don't like it, blah blah blah, you have altered your behavior. I will admit to that.
But yet we still get attacked. And it's like every other month, it's us or Bold, us or Bold, us or Bold. And from my perspective, it's you guys are spending a bunch of money on ships. Now you've got this whole coalition of alliances that you don't want to attack. Let's go fight with MBD and Bold.
That's probably pretty accurate. I think some people just like to have an enemy in the game. I don't think it's personal. I think they just need to have somebody that they feel like is the quote unquote enemy that they can go take out their frustrations on that day, or somebody that they can go battle against, to have some fun, somebody that's always going to be quote unquote enemy in their mind, and they can always treat it as such. I think it's some people's comfy place, their happy place, to have an enemy. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't get it. I don't think like that. So it's hard for me to think like that, to try and understand where some players are coming from. But yeah, I mean, honestly, people make comments, say things like, these people are this or that, or just general broad statements, and just lump your entire alliances into this, so this narrative they've come up with in their head, to make you guys the bad guys. And it's just not true. Every alliance is pretty much the same, So, I don't know.
So Kirk, you're now at MBD. Obviously, you haven't spent a lot of time there, but is the culture any different than NONA's that you've seen so far?
Actually, yeah, it's a little bit different.
You want to elaborate?
Yeah, in what way?
Well, I'm drug out to buy a Christmas tree this morning, so I'll do the best I can. But I do have to say that I've only been here for hold on just a second, guys.
That's some high intensity tree buying out there. Sounds like he's having to chop the fucker down.
He's got the chainsaw. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, exactly, dude. It's freaking. They're trimming up trees, but the it's electric too. It's cute. Basically, what I will say is that whenever I see any of the leadership say anything, I haven't seen anybody, for lack of better terminology, like back talk or anything. It's just, okay, we'll do that, and then they move on.
Does that happen all the time with Handy? Handy will say something, and everybody else is like, fuck that guy.
No, it's not like an all the time thing, but there are definitely people in NONA who I think they think that people care what they think a little more than what people actually do. You know what I'm saying? People think that their opinion's valued a little bit more than it actually is, I guess I would say. I haven't been in MBD that long, but...
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we've always, since day one, we've encouraged everybody to speak their mind. Otherwise, how do we know where people are at? How do we know what they're thinking if they don't fucking talk?
No, yeah, but I mean, there's...
Granted, half the time people give their opinion, I don't agree, or I think they're being idiots, but I still want to hear it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't know where our players are coming from or what they're thinking,
No, but there's a different... Sorry, this is kind of a bit of a thing. Anyway.
Walk away from the chainsaw, for God's sakes.
Dude, I'm holding the fucking 7-foot tree. There's no walking away. So, yeah, I mean, but there's a difference between sharing your opinion and whining. And I think that's the thing, is that people have gotten a little too comfortable. Some of the people, and there's a lot of whining going on. So it's not even just I'm speaking my opinion. It's actual almost full on crying. And that's what I'm saying. And like I say, I've only been in MBD for day and a half or 2 days or whatever it is. So I haven't been here long enough, but I have not seen any of that. Whereas in NONA, I think like here in at least the past couple of weeks, it's like once every 6 hours somebody's whining about something. So it's just an observation. I don't know. I could go log on and look at MBD AC here pretty soon, and somebody be crying about something. But just that was the question I was asked, and there's my answer.
Cool, man.
Hey, Mutt, if you don't mind, I'd like to hear your take on it.
Take on what, Mud?
On the war and what's been going on back and forth. I'm sure that I'd just like to hear what he has to say.
Who? Kirk or
Incho.
Oh, Incho?
Oh, me. Handy was talking, so I don't pay much attention when he talks, but sorry. Didn't mean to ignore you.
Incho was too busy grinding. He hit 1,400 hostiles by the time we finished Discovery.
That's right. Close. Personally, I think that the reason that there is a back and forth has a lot to do with some of the stronger personalities. I personally don't really know much of what Mud says because, I mean, no offense, I blocked you so long ago, and I don't read GC that it doesn't really matter. I get screenshots, but you're very vociferous in GC. For better or for worse, if that's part of your game. I mean, I personally doesn't bother me because I don't read it. But I think some of the other issues are just with some of the personalities that there are conflicts, and I don't think that it's necessarily a big people trying to we're not trying to form some massive alliance. We've been for the longest time we're a a single alliance without any sister alliance. It's just it's kind of growing now, and that's just been very organic. But I don't think that it's we're friends with everybody, so so MBD and Bold are the only two to pick on. I think some of the changes that were made like several weeks ago, declarations by Bold about, we're going to kill everybody for a day if they touch our stuff, or other things that may or may not be said, like in GC. I think there's a little bit more static there, and I think that's one of the primary drivers, at least what I see from our members. But as far as the war as a whole, I mean, it's pointless. It was stupid. It's in the middle of an arc. It doesn't benefit anybody, and nobody gets hurt. You have a shield button, for Christ's sake. This game doesn't work with warring. It just doesn't really do anything unless you do something like to affect their day-to-day play. And to be honest, most of my guys don't have their day-to-day play affected in any way, shape, or form. Just is.
A lot like we've moved kind of out of the range of dirt. You guys have moved where most of us can't even touch you. We've got a couple of bigs that can do a little damage, but like you said, there's a major power disparity between the two alliances. So I don't disagree with anything you say. And again, I apologize. There have been 2 instances in this game where I've said something to somebody where I think I honestly could have gotten a chat ban. Never gotten one. Never been contacted by Stokely. So thanks to those 2 people for not reporting it. Inchoate, you were one of them. That was back when we were at the Rialta battles way long ago.
Oh, wow.
But everything that I say is really intended just to engage people. It's not to, I don't go around talking about your mother and this and that and the other. And if there was one time where I got upset, and I did, and you're one of those individuals, again, I apologize. But at some point, we've got to move past it, because we will eventually be in a server merger. It just doesn't make sense for Scopely to keep all these active servers with a few people. So it's going to start getting piled together. And we need to decide if we're going to work together or if it's going to be a shit show.
You realize by you 2 having peace, I have less content to fucking share with people?
No, I'm sure Dark's going to be coming at us soon. It's a matter of time. They want to show off their new ships as well.
Yeah, so here's my question to now NONA. And so it's been very recent, but there's been a lot of sister alliance formation, which is kind of weird to me, but MBD has had MPD forever. NONA recently got Dread, renamed it to Salt, and then now they got Cubed and renamed it to NONA Cubed or something. And then Dark's got their whole conglomerate with Most and Baby Dark. So I just want to ask, and Darius here, you could talk to Dark Most stuff, but like, what is the goal of all of these sister alliances, and why do you guys need, I guess, so many?
Well, I want to be clear about Dark and Most, right? So I think here in this game, you've got alliances that are active and growing, and you have alliances that are relatively stagnant and static. And at a certain power level with stagnation, you start to lose folks, right? And it has a lot to do with either alliance culture or alliance, just whatever's going on. Sometimes alliances are motivated or mobilized by 1 or 2 strong personalities, like in the case of Most. A lot of folks were wrapped around Grazi, who's a great guy. Grazi went Dark to play with folks in the same play level, with most of the rest of the power in Most. We came up with a kind of open borders policy, if you will. We rotate people back and forth. I moved to Most long-term to kind of upskill the middle tier of Most. And it's about difference, Tech. It's about taking people's gameplay and disrupting it without destroying it, or disrupting it without interrupting it, right? It's not always excellent for every member of every team, But I think Dark and Most, you consider it really more open borders than a merger. Both alliances retain their unique culture, if you will. Most is a lot more procedural. There's a lot more if this, then that sort of stuff on their Discord. Dark is still dark. Kind of leave us alone or we'll roll and fuck with you. But this isn't necessarily about power consolidation. This isn't about top numbers on some stupid leaderboard. It's about, before the level cap went up anyway, especially because we did this prior to the level cap increase by about 3-4 weeks. And that was, there were people who had spent $75,000 on this game quitting. I mean, that's a big disinvestment, if you will, right? And that kind of thing shakes the other people who put a lot of money and time into this game. And that's not everyone in Dark. That's not everyone in Most. It's not everyone in NONA, for that matter, right? But it is those people who see their peers or near peers on that level backing out of the game. And what does that do? You get shook. Oh shit, what have I done? How long have I put into this? Was this just a pandemic thing for me? What is my jam? Am I really into this? Putting all this time in. Oh God, there's this stuff coming. I'm gonna have to put another $6,000 in to buy this shit. I'm making these numbers up, but it's in my head. And that stuff factors into this game a lot more than the game itself. Okay, because every one of us who's put more than a nickel into this game has a giant anxiety-filled device into which we've invested our money in our pockets, right? It's not a phone anymore. It's this big money sink, potentially. Now, in most cases, none of us have put money into this game that we couldn't put in otherwise, right? We're spending money on entertainment. And for some folks, it matters more to them than others. Money is relative to each individual. So this game can be expensive. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. It should be if you want to advance beyond a certain point. Well, sorry, that should, but will be if you want to go past a certain point. But Dark and Most aren't trying to create some anti-so-and-so consolidated conglomerate amalgamation of people. We just wanted to have more folks that could play together at the right level and then spend some time and energy to upskill the other folks so they could play at their tier as well. Does that make sense?
I think it does. I think that's
Sure.
I think it's actually kind of similar to what we've been doing, and it's just that, like I said before, NONA went for quite a long time and never had any of the sister alliance stuff. We're not looking for some feeder alliance. It's just not necessary.
Right.
What it boils down to is a lot of like what Darius is saying is, we only started talking with Salt. We've been doing this for several months now, and it was more hey, we're working together, and we have people that are hopping over to visit, and it's that kind of, it's a camaraderie kind of thing. And I agree with a lot of it's some fresh blood, some new people to talk to, some new people to help out. Like I just hopped back over into NONA. I was in Cube for a few days, and kind of sharing some of the stuff that you're doing and what they're doing. And, it does add a level of interest to the game that, particularly before they opened up the level cap, there was a lot of stagnation.
Yeah.
When you start, you're building another Tribune and another Haida, it's like, okay, which by the way, there's nothing on the horizon that we can start scrapping them that I've seen.
Arg.
Yeah, exactly. But, that's really where it came out of. And most recently with Cube, it was after, we were hopping around the TC area and actually battled Cube for one of theirs. I just saw, wow, these guys have zero support. That kind of sucks.
Cube was basically an empty shell, paper tiger in a lot of ways.
Right.
And I'm not saying that in a disparaging way. But I think a lot of folks assume that they were still affiliated with MCRN, and I don't feel like that's the case at all.
It didn't look like it from our side of things. So, I actually started talking with Rickster after that battle because, number one, to tell him, look, we're just doing this for the event and we're giving it right back, et cetera, et cetera. But, after chatting with them for a while, it just kind of made sense that, they wanted somebody to be affiliated with. And, we have now, provided that for them. And, in the same token, it gives us some more, individuals just basically to play the game with.
How much of that is about Brelin, if you don't mind my asking? Because it feels like
Zero.
Okay, I mean, I'm not. That's not. This isn't a leading question either, but it seems logical that Salt and Cube are going to want to try and rotate through Brelin, depending on what Bold does. In the next couple of days with GTS in the way of them acquiring Brelin again.
Right. That actually had zero come into it. There was not taken into account in any way, shape, or form. It's not a strategic move. If we really wanted a strategic move,
It would be done.
The strategy is exactly, it would just be done. I mean, let's face it, so it really is just about kind of the people.
If I may jump in.
Jump.
Let me ask you guys a question. How many of, I'll say the big three that's NONA, Dark, Most, how many of you guys have given up a territory to another alliance that you don't need?
NONA's done it, but they did later reacquire.
Temporarily. They went and took Cobas afterwards, and I don't want to start throwing bombs. What I'm trying to say is we've got TC on lockdown, guys, and now you're trying to take away Bold's territory too?
Well, Ahmed, let me try this first, Incho. I don't know if I asked if this was about Brelin because it just seemed like an easy question to ask, right? I don't think that if he said it's not about Brelin, it's not about Brelin. Maybe they let Salt and Cube fight it out with Bold, and I think that would probably go in Bold's favor. But not necessarily. Salt is deeply skilled, but not overtly powerful, if you will. And Cube is just kind of, well, I mean, they're who they are. I'm not picking on them. But if that goes the way it goes, then it's some changes, right? I don't know if maybe then that Bold goes after Nierheimer. I don't know what this all means, right? So, it's a question of me just asking, this is what the board looks like today. Is this about this? He said, no, it probably isn't, or they would have just kept it. You know what I mean? But keeping things on lockdown, Dark likes its territory, and Dark hasn't really cooperated with the transfer stuff in the past. Most has gained and lost territory a couple of times through TC. NONA took some from them back in the day. And that was back early on in TC. Since things have settled down, though, it's been pretty stable. And the transfer of territory between the smaller alliances, like the lower, I don't want to call them tiers of alliances, but the GTS alliances, the folks in that range, they've been able to get territory. I don't know if they've been able to get all three territories that they wanted or whatever, but it seems like there's been a pretty reasonable, fluid transfer and motion of these things without the big alliances giving anything up yet.
Well,
Really? Because we started with 4 and we have 2. And we're what number alliance in power?
5 or 4 or 5. 5. But you also have a wolf in your midst, which I think is a really interesting conversation that needs to happen at some point, because those guys are unreliable actors. But that's personal opinion there. But that you had 4 and you gave up 2. That sounded like a choice to me, not like something that any of us influenced or placed upon you.
I don't really understand why MBD has given up so much territory, to be totally honest. I don't feel that you guys have gotten a fair shake on your territory.
I would agree.
And I don't think you should have given back as much as you have.
Because, Handy, we went to the Surex particles because that's what the big guys need. And the big guys really kind of sway the power of our alliance. I fought for weeks to try to get some kind of a trade-off going from Mac. Happened one time, and then it was old stuff brought back into the discussion that was irrelevant before the trade had even begun.
Are you talking about Mac Alpha, Mac Alpha? So specific to that, Mud, I believe if we were to review the conversation, I was not in the diplomacy with Most and MDD then. It was done by Fluffy and Redfur, but the conversation was pretty straight up that it was one time. Now, I don't know if that means the future doesn't hold any opportunity to do that again. I am on the Most leadership team, but I am not in that area. I'm not going to make these calls. But I feel like Fluffy had something working really well with Redfur, and it's possible that channel could operate again. I feel you may have some of the folks that you may have influenced negatively towards your alliance in the past might have been on the Most side. I don't know. I wasn't there then. I don't have a negative relationship with you, but it's not off the table, especially considering I don't know what is going to happen with what's left of RMU Wolf, Umlaut Wolf, or whatever the hell they call themselves. But that cluster of people in the center of what used to be your 4 territories there doesn't make me feel like I want to rotate territory to anybody near that. It's just not a good thing. There's no love lost there. In other words, it's not about MBD in that case.
Well, if, say, the alliance you're referring to were to try to do something, what effect would they have? I mean, let's face it, between Most and Dark, it'd be a pummeling one way or another.
I'm not sure it would be a pummeling with just Most. Let's be clear. I mean, he should be very straightforward, and I'm not talking Most down here. I spent a lot of time and energy, probably about 200 hours on Discord in the last 2 months, getting Most more functional in a lot of areas where Most has excellent discipline for defense, but Most kind of forgotten that it has teeth. It hasn't really been aggressive in a very long time. And when we gave Rogue a bloody nose the other day, to kind of remind them, like, look, if you guys take Helvey, that completely changes this calculus, because we were worried about the calculus of that stupid frickin' leaderboard for that frickin' 10-day event. That was the first time we'd been aggressive in a very long time. So I feel like there's a lot of potential for conflict. Dark doesn't get involved in every conflict that Most has, and Most doesn't get involved in every conflict that Dark has, just like MBD and Bold don't always fight together. I think when I told you this, I believe, but I'll say it to anyone, when we were talking about what the model for Most and Dark would look like, it should look like the relationship between Bold and MBD, which is a nice, well-established, everyone kind of understands these two teams usually work together, but only if there's logic. If we're aggressive, Dark isn't necessarily going to be backing us up if we made our own call, or vice versa, right? But in defense or against overwhelming foes, maybe. It depends, right? There's also sneak attacks. It's really easy to take a territory if you're moving quick and you get it fast. I don't know, but I just feel that in most cases where MBD has given up territory, they have given it up by choice, and that has little to do with what the larger alliances have to say about things. That's just MBD making choices, and if you don't like the results of those choices, I can't help you.
And that's fair. But again, I'm not referring to just MBD. In the quote-unquote health of the server, how healthy is it for us to have 5 alliances or 5 territories when we may need 3 and not let the little guys on the board?
It's fine.
You're talking about the territory event. How many alliances lost their territories because of that stupid event?
How many of them got them back?
But what was the point?
I mean, I'm not saying that that whole thing. I'll say this one fair. I mean, this was just the march on Bold. Sherman's march through territory down to Boldlanta was basically just NONA getting points and it's securing themselves at the number 1 position by having the math that Nightoid came up with his dark laboratory to figure out how they could totally win. And good on them. I mean, no problem there. NONA got a NONA, and I think that's fair. I wasn't going to try and stop them, right? So. However, whoever came into all that, you guys have resolved it. I don't want to reopen those wounds. Don't want to have that conversation again. It is where it is. We're at 30 days of however many non-aggression that is. Okay, so, but they won that thing. Everyone else kind of scrambled around. There was some squabbling for 2nd through 5th. No problem. It all worked out how it was supposed to, air quotes, right? It all worked out how it did, right? But the bulk of those people that lost their territories have gotten them back with assistance from the people that took it from them. And I maybe there wasn't planning ahead of time.
With the exception of Bold, who now has to fight for Berlin.
You're correct. And I don't know if, and I see SARS on here, but or she was anyway. But I see that, if Bold wants to march back through GTS to get to Brelin, I don't hear NONA saying they're going to stop them, but I don't hear them saying they will either. So that's not my answer, right? But if the timing on that really worked out, they couldn't have taken it back till next week anyway. So, because they didn't have the 1 territory to get to the 2, the one the GTS took. So it works out still on schedule for things to fall back into the order that they were before. I don't know if they will. I don't know if they have to. Because kind of to your point, if Bold's giving up territory or has lost territory, someone's gained it.
I'd like to interject because I've been listening for a little while.
Go ahead, Andy.
So a lot of alliances feel that there needs to be a rebalance as far as territory. I know that there's a lot of mid alliances that feel like they didn't have enough territories, and they would like the opportunity to fight for a bigger piece of the pie. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, personally, I think if any alliance wants to 1v1 another alliance, that both alliances should respect that and just let it happen. And may the best team win. And whoever wins gets to keep the territory. And I don't think that's a bad thing, right?
No, I don't disagree, but
I don't think that we can safely say that there's 1v1.
Exactly.
I don't disagree with you, but 1 versus 1 is a real problem. Like, for instance, I think of Bold and MBD as one alliance. And I would be, that's just who they are. That's how they've basically moved, right? And I would think of, there's a couple other alliances I would think of that would be pretty close together. But in general,
That's
right,
another
we
problem.
can't regulate this stuff.
Bold, as far as power, doesn't really deserve 5 territories. You've got MBD with 2 and Bold with 5. I mean, give me a break. It doesn't make any sense at all.
so let me see if I got this straight. It's okay to compare MBD and Bold, one having 5, one having 2, but it's not okay to compare MBD and Most.
I didn't say that. You guys are welcome to come. I mean, I don't feel like I want to have that fight, but I feel like I know how it would go with or without Dark, and it'd be pretty gnarly. But I don't love conflict, Mud. I feel that if you want 4 territories, kick Wolf out. You know, have a fight you can win, if that's what you want. But if you, this isn't threatening at all, man. I hope you understand that from my tone. Like, just there is tactical solutions and there's strategic solutions and there's diplomatic solutions, right? I feel one thing's easier than the other, but that's about all I'd really have to say. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, I don't like returning to what the first 3 months of territory were like. That was awful, and a lot of people still have like low-key post-traumatic stress from that period. It's ugly. It was nasty, and a lot of the whole like server split in half factioning. There's still resonance of that today, right? So
I don't think anybody wants to see that again.
Yeah, I hope not. That's just a terrible choice.
Nobody had fun with that.
But at the same time, that's what you're inviting if somebody wants to take their territory back.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't want to prevaricate here, Mud, but I feel that if I'm making the strategic choice, going one way rather than the other is pretty obvious to me. But I'm not behind the scenes. You guys have many choices. You also could move. You could change locations too. It was prior opportunity to move around the map a few weeks ago. But there's a lot going on, and in the back seat of every alliance's thought process, right? So if you're interested in doing a rotation, open the channel again, come back through and have that conversation. Maybe some stuff has changed. Maybe Most does have different leadership now. Grozzy's not in charge. Ghost is. Okay, so there's opportunity, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to make those channels and make those choices. If every case MBD has made choices that have given up territory, I'm not feeling bad in sense like none of us took it from you. You gave it up in each case. Those choices are potentially smart choices, right? They're good. They're diplomatic. They make friends maybe, but they aren't cause for, well, then we should still have more territory, even though we've made a pattern of giving up territory.
Well, in our case, it's not as much about making friends. It's about not keeping something that we don't need. But then when we're told you have to fight for what you do need, you're really kind of inviting that conflict.
No, you don't have.
I want to be clear that there's no such thing as, we don't want no conflict on the server, right? There should be some amount of conflict. What we want to avoid is the kind of conflict that is server rending and engages all the people. No Archduke Ferdinand assassination sort of calling of all the banners to make everything chaos again.
I think. Can I interject? Because I think I understand where Mud's going, and I understand what Darius is saying. I think where Mud's going is anybody willing to move around their territories for the benefit of other people, not necessarily MBD, NONA, Most, Dark, whatever, but just a general shifting around so that people can enjoy the fruits of TCs. And the question then becomes, who's willing to do such a thing? Now, for example, outside of the TC event, let's keep that off the table. Outside of the TC event, is NONA willing to go down to one territory, move to an obscure part of the map so that other people can have that territory for a week, 2 weeks, a month? Is Most willing to shift with Dark, willing to shift with Bold, GTS, whatever? Are people willing to do that? And I think that's the question Mud is posing, and I think Darius is posing the answer of, yeah, it's possible, unlikely for some, likely for others, is what we're trying to establish, I think.
Here's the deal. In my experience, diplomacy is definitely the easier option, and it works really well. I got really involved in it and got my hand bit, so now I'm staying the fuck out of it.
I feel the same way. I got kicked off that server, if you don't recall.
Yeah, so, I mean, but diplomacy is diplomacy, right? Like, you got to be careful. You got to choose your battles and not comment on everything that pops up or have an opinion on everything. So sometimes it makes sense to shut my mouth. I keep my mouth shut a lot because I realize that always speaking my mind, people don't want to hear it. So, I would give that advice to anybody that, choose your battles.
Yeah, if I had $1 for everything I didn't say, I'd be a lot richer. But
I know, right?
But at the same
Well, if I had $1 for everything I shouldn't have said, I'd probably be richer than you.
You're not wrong. But there is a certain joy in having the right thing to say at the right time for maximum effect, right? But there is a greater joy if you are focused on a greater good in doing it a certain way. But I don't. That's also just to say that not all of us are diplomats, and I think we know that. But in conversations like this, we're all basically on the same page. We're all basically seeing the same things and saying the same thing. I mean, Tech nailed it. He said it in fewer words than me, which is one of his gifts. That is where we're at. I mean, I can't speak for Dark and Most. I have an undue amount of influence, so I usually should shut my fucking mouth more. But it is unlikely that Dark is willing to do that. Most has done it in the past for you. It's not impossible that it could happen again. But that requires a longer conversation that would have to happen offline.
Let me ask another question about the Isogen. It's been brought up time and time again. Mud hit my Isogen. Mud hit my Isogen. I mean, let's just protect it altogether. Nobody gets Isogen unless you own a territory, because that's kind of the way it's starting to feel.
No,
I think
no, shut up. I need my ISO. Get the fuck out. I need my ISO. Go mine out there so I can blow up your miners, okay?
That's no, but I mean, exactly what Tech said. That's our mentality. Is that, look, we don't mind getting blown up, but getting blown up for OPL ISO, which takes 5 minutes to go OPL with a Meridian now, by somebody who could so easily go put a Meridian out there, I think that's annoying. I would love, and we've tried, unfortunately, a lot of the times they can't blow up my Meridian, but, we've tried, like, going OPL and giving them to people. I know a lot of different alliances have done that. So my whole argument for the ISO thing is and this is my opinion, Mud, so please don't take it personally, but I think if you can mine ISO and you go hit it OPL with as fast as the Meridian is, I cannot comprehend how that is not an asshole or dick move. I can't wrap my brain around it.
Let me ask you this. What speed does your Meridian mine Isogen 1?
Fast.
Million plus on 3, probably 800K on 2, and probably 600K.
Mine's it at 222,000 an hour. 222,000 an hour. But I'm told you need to just go mine it instead of spending 5 minutes going and collecting it and having what you need for 2 or 3 days. It's a matter of perspective, Inch.
No, and I mean, again, so part of the issue is, you need to level up your own shit. I mean, don't.
I'm a level 38. I'm going as fast as I can, brother.
No, I get it. But
guys, remember, I made this point many times. we're playing a different game.
Yes.
The 40s, the 30s, and the 50s play a completely different game,
Absolutely.
but we're on the same battlefield. So to the point of,
Okay, so hey,
go ahead,
sorry,
Kirk.
Ted, go ahead.
I made my point.
Just also for some perspective, at 42, with all my research, pretty much about as high as it can go at that point, level locked, it still takes me close to an hour to mine enough ISO 1. Well, I say close to an hour. It's about 35-ish minutes, 45 minutes, somewhere in there, depending upon if I use an exocomp crew and all that, for me to mine enough ISO 1 to get my max refines. So like the 200 and something thousand or whatever it is. So I guess let me withdraw that, and I would say between 30 and 45 minutes, somewhere in there. So, I mean, if that puts it in perspective for you, I mean, yeah, it would be a lot quicker for me to go collect, like, 5-10 minutes to go collect some OPL ISO, and then I could use that for the next 2 or 3 days as opposed to 1 day. So, not necessarily saying one person's right or wrong. I believe OPL should be OPL and watch your shit, but just kind of some perspective there.
Right, and I'm not in disagreement of that. It is, faster from your perspective to go pop some ships. But also, there's the negative side of that is that now other people that don't have access to ISO at all don't have that OPL possible for them to hit. So my opinion.
And the solution to that was the ISONAP.
Right, and that was the whole idea.
And I have no problem following that. I haven't broken it once, with the exception of when it's broken with me.
Right. So I mean, again, and to put it even different perspective, I can't tell you the last time I mined ISO. That's the difference in the game. The only time I have a Meridian out nowadays is when I'm going fishing. That's it. But it's a different game. Like Tech has said a number of times on the show. Every kind of basically depending on which generation or which X pack you are currently on. If you're in your 30s, you're playing the G3 game. If you're in your 40s, you're playing the G4 game. There are multiple versions of this game that we all happen to just be able to see one another. So that's the difference of opinion.
You're not wrong. If I can address one of the comments made in the chat, Twisted says, you have 4 miners, you don't have to, or you're not even mining it. If I wanted to mine all day, I would have installed Klondike. There is nowhere in the description of Star Trek Fleet Command that says mining game. Anywhere. And he's like, well, you don't have to mine it all day. Well, between data, my G3, my Isogen, and all the other stuff I have to do, yeah, for me, I'd have to mine it all day to get what I can get in 20 minutes.
The difference is you're still trying to play the game. You're trying to play the G5 game at G3. If you have been part of this game and progressed along with this game, and I'm not saying myself as an example, so don't take it that way. But like most people I know haven't mined data in forever because they've leveled out of that system. They don't use it for anything anymore. People obviously use ISO now because that's the newest thing. If you're in your G4, to be honest, you don't really need to mine G4 except for your dailies, which you can't get by getting OPL anyway. Now it flips around again. At G5, the mining actually, you do need that crap, just like you did in G3. So the game flips around of what you technically need. But, I have plenty of my players who are in their late 30s ops level who I've gotten screenshots of saying, oh yeah, I find several tens of millions of ISO in 3 or 4 days. You just you take some time and you go, fuck it. I'm just going to go mine this crap so that I can forget about it for a while, which I think is what most people do. They're not constant like, okay, today I'm going to mine my, 100 or whatever. I think most people go on bursts. It's like, for example, me, because I'm stupid about clicking the button sometimes, I still haven't finished Rogue. So I need to come out because I can't warp from where I base normally to go hit Eclipse stuff. So actually, that's what I did most of the war, by the way. Thank you for that, because now I have plenty of stuff to finish the Eclipse out, because I was going for weeks without even clicking the button because I didn't have any of it. It just is what it is, man.
And again, I don't disagree, but we play from our own perspectives. And until we can say, okay, I get what you need is what you're doing, you're not just picking on me. And at the beginning, you know why I went for NONA ships? Because you guys had 3 meridians. I didn't have 1. But yet it's Mud's picking on us. You know how many other alliances I went after during that same time that didn't complain?
Correction. It wasn't that you were picking on us. It's that you weren't just hitting a couple ships and then you went about your business. It was you were in our system all day long, hitting ship after ship after ship after ship after ship after ship after ship. And you were really good at it.
But was I handy?
It was super annoying. That's why.
Isn't this like really old shit that we've already like rehashed and rehashed and rehashed?
You know, we're definitely regressed.
Well, it is. I'm just trying to make people understand the reason I do what I do. I don't go out looking for grief. I don't go out looking for trouble. You know, I was hitting the other alliances at the same time. They didn't all complain about it. I hit them just as much as I hit NONA. They didn't all complain about it. But because I'm the one who gets vocal in GC, Mud did this. Mud hit me. Mud hit me.
Oh, but using your same advice, you know, there was a time where it was screenshot after screenshot after screenshot, you know, from our territory. And to be honest, it just gets old. You know, there's nobody that cares, you know, again, nobody cares about their pixels until they do. You know, I personally don't give 2 shits about it. You know, somebody blows something up, it's like, what the fuck ever. But, you know, it's the whole point. You're falling it, and now let me rephrase. You are changing your play the way that Scopely wants you to change your play. That's the whole reason they came out with a Meridian. That's the whole reason they did this, you know, stupid TC event. You know, they want this to be a PvP game. They claim it is a PvP game. It is not a PvP game. They're not very good at making one.
They also claim it's a free-to-play game, and it's not a free-to-play game.
And to the same point, I'd say that we all got played in the territory capture battle. You know what we woke up to when the territory capture battle started, right?
No, what?
A member of an alliance clearing out our OPL and saying it's an event. I remember a year and a half ago, I don't remember what resource it was, something we were all protecting. I think it was data. There was a data event. It's like, well, I went into Discord and I announced we're going to suspend the protected OPL data during this event. I had no less than 4 alliances go, you can't do that. You can't just change the rules on your own and threaten war over it.
No, totally agree.
But now that it's something else, a different one, somebody from another alliance takes that same advantage, but they don't tell anybody. They just come after it. But it's supposed to be okay.
No, it wasn't okay.
If you're referring to somebody from our alliance, then it wasn't okay. There was a lot of confusion, and we quashed it. It took an hour or so, but
And apologized for it.
And, you know, in respect to me changing my gameplay, did I come after everybody's OPL in exchange?
No, you absolutely did the right thing. You reported it and chilled the fuck out and didn't do anything, which is what I would hope most people would do, or more people would do. Instead of reacting, take a step back, send a quick message and say, hey, what the fuck? You sure you want to play it this way?
So it seems Twisted has a lot to say. Is it possible to get him up on the stage?
oh god.
No. Are you sure?
Absolutely.
That's really telling. I'll invite him, but that's really telling that even members of NONA don't want Twisted to talk.
No, I'm teasing. Twisted, come up here, son of a bitch.
No, he doesn't want to come
That's
up.
probably smart.
I'm just gonna keep inviting you till you come up.
Bro, I already said I'm sorry. What else do you want me to do? Come on up. You know, let's hug it out.
By the way, Parzival, you have 3.2 million lat. That's a lot. I mean, it's not a lot for, relatively speaking, for what Incho and Handy have, but that's still a lot of lat.
Just as an FYI, Tech, I've got 700 kills since you started recording.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Well, I'm just showing you it's not hard.
For you.
Well, I'm lazy. Okay, I don't like grinding like crazy. So just
To be honest, I don't either. I hate every minute of it. It cracks me up. It's like my dad before he died, he used to jog, and one of his buddies one time went up to him and was like, "Man, you must really love jogging. You know, you do it a lot." And he looked at him and he goes, "I hate every fucking step of it. But you know what? It means I can go get a big ass cheeseburger. It means one of my favorite pictures of him, he was going for a jog, was going to jog like 7 or 8 miles, and he's starting to run away the house, and he's got 3 fucking donuts on his finger. It's a great picture, and that's the whole reason. Like, you know, I get it. You know, I hate every second of grinding, but it's a requirement if you want to advance in this game. It just is.
Twisted, what's up, buddy?
that sounds like a coworker of mine who used to work out a lot. You know, used to lift a lot of weights, and he's just like, he tells me about his routine and his technique, and you know how he sweats and all that shit. I'm like, it's like what got you into that? And he goes, just so I can eat whatever the fuck I want. I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, man, I just love, hammering down like 5 hot dogs and 3 cheeseburgers. And I'm like, first of all, gross. But second of all, this is why you work out like crazy. This is why you got like 3 sweatshirts on and they're all soaked through just because you can eat, just so you can eat 5 cheeseburgers or whatever the hell you want to eat. That's wow. I guess that is some real fucking dedication, dude.
Fucking, it's body dysmorphia.
Life goals, man. Life goals.
Seriously.
Yeah, this is.
All right, Twisted. Let's see this, man. You and Mud. Wait, hold on. Let me get the popcorn. Can you wait like 3 minutes? Is that how much microwave popcorn takes? I don't know.
About 3 minutes, 30 seconds for a 1,000-watt microwave.
Thank you.
Give me a second. I just need a minute.
60, 59, 58.
Yeah, we're kind
So, Inchoate, did you get my message about the thing with Cube the other night?
All right, I'm good.
No, I still have you blocked.
in Discord and in game.
That's why I sent it to a Cube member.
Think I did.
Anyway, it was just a thank you because you could have come in and wrecked all of our ships by every right. Probably would have confused all of our guys because of, you know, the recent peace treaty.
Oh, no.
I appreciate
No.
you handling it the way you did.
No, of course. That definitely, that would never happen.
All right. So, sorry about that. I was kind of caught me in the mix. But anyways, Mud, to your point, man, like, I don't think anybody says, except for maybe MCRN, man, I really want to mine all day, right? I think most of what, Incho said, I mean, actually, everything that Incho said is correct. Like, the Meridian mines fast. That's the whole point. It's like hitting a Devour for freaking Latinum. Like, it really just doesn't matter. You're just there to piss him off.
But that's how I do my Latinum event. Exactly how I do my Latinum.
Well, okay, and so during a Latinum event, I can respect that. It's been a long-standing, rule that, hey, because it subtracts points from the player, and if you're trying to compete in the event, I can get it. Okay, so it's not only it's a takes away from them, but it also gives to you, right? At the same time, it's literally a win-win in those situations. Meridian, and I don't think anybody has really an issue with Devour hits because they literally just do it for the event, and that's about it. I mean, really, Latinum is it's a worthless currency. Isogen, in that sense, is not a worthless currency to everybody. Isogen is something that we all use, especially in the lower tiers. You use it, we all use it, right? It's something that's very important. There's a lot of value in the territory research tree. A lot of value. That being said, people are going to get a little bit more sensitive about it because you need to mine a significant amount of Isogen just to be able to continue your research. And if you don't mine that, then you can't. And that's the frustrating part behind it, right? So to your statement, I don't want to mine all day. Well, neither do we. And we definitely don't want to mine it all day just so you can hit it because you don't want to mine it either. So that's the frustrating part. That's the reason why this agreement came about. And you've been great about it. And I respect that, which, and I appreciate. Okay. But I know that rubs you wrong because you feel like we're dictating your play, but at the same time, man, like it has to deal with server health as well. If you're pissing people off who spent money, on 3 or 4 or 5, meridians, it's because they don't want to generate the salt that you're generating. They want to be able to mine it, get done with it, and be done with it, right? You can mine it for 3 days, which, again, yeah, you're having to mine it all day, but guess what? You're not having to mine probably for like a month thereafter. It's literally a couple days, you're good, you're done, right? No salt generated. You're not pissing anybody off because they're not mining for you just to hit them, right? And it's just a win-win in that situation. There's no events that, subtract points and give you points. It's just we're all just trying to get through it, right?
That's not.
And I think that's the biggest deal.
That's not true.
Well, that one event is an exception.
I'm just saying. I just disproved your point. Therefore, I disproved you. So I win. There you go. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. No, you win. Okay, fine. Fuck off. But you see what I'm saying, man? Like, you don't want to mine it. Nobody wants to mine it unless you're MCRN. I mean, literally, that's it. I mean, I really do feel like that's something that is true. 100% through and through. Nobody wants to mine the shit. And we sure shit don't want to mine it for anybody else to just come up and hit it. Like, we're just trying to get through it, dude. And I think that's the point. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It does, but let me counter that with a different perspective. Techman, you can speak to this. You've been on the last few days. What have I been doing with Isogen?
You've been giving it away. I've been seeing you do it.
Yeah, I've gotten like 3.
I've been seeing you do it.
I've gotten like 3 or 4 lows from Mud. So I agree.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, I've been doing this, whenever I'm on, just go out, mine Latinum, PM me for chords. There have been literally less than 5 players, and I know it's a holiday weekend, but I know there's still a lot of people that are active. Literally 5 players have taken me up on the offer. Most players prefer the sport of the hunt, and I'm an aggressive player. And for you to sit there and tell me, no, go mine your own, but you can't give it away because they'd rather come and take it, is a double standard.
I think you're wrong on that, Mud, and I'll tell you the reason why. You're a different player, and that rubs people the wrong way. I can guarantee you that more people have you on their block list than any other player, and I'm not saying that to be rude, okay? But it's the truth. More people have you on their block list than any other player in the entire game. Plain and simple. And that's without obviously having the facts. I'm pretty confident that is the fact.
So if you don't have the facts, why state it as a fact?
Because I can tell you just in the many different alliances that I've visited that
from your perspective,
you're right. From my perspective, that a lot of people have you on block. I mean, Incho has you on block, and I don't think Incho has very many people on block. I mean, I just don't. I mean, Incho probably has less than a handful of people on block that are permanently on block. And, and maybe Incho can speak to that. But,
That's correct.
Handy, who is probably the most flexible player in the entire game, has probably at some point blocked you. He may not have you on block now, but I can guarantee you that he's at some point probably blocked you. You have a tendency to rub people the wrong way. It doesn't hurt my feelings. You've never hurt my feelings. I can give a shit about you, honestly.
That's such a nice thing to say, by the way.
It's okay. I'll lean into it.
You see why we didn't want him to talk?
And I don't mean to be rude. Like, I'm trying my best not to be, okay?
He's not the diplomat, that's for goddamn sure.
I told you I wasn't going to hold my tongue. But the thing is that...
I am so surprised.
That's true. But the thing is that you're not able to reach as many people. I, on the other hand, when I was giving out Isogen, when our alliance was giving out Isogen, when we partnered with Most and Dark to give out Isogen, I never had an issue people coming up and asking for the Isogen. Never had an issue. The minute I posted it, within a couple minutes, somebody is, saying, hey, yeah, let me go ahead and get that from you. And that is fact. Okay. And I can tell you that I did that religiously every Friday, and people relied on that. And that's fact. I never had an issue. So for you to say that you have issues giving it away.
So let me ask you this.
It's probably because a lot of people have you on block. And again, that's just your style.
Are you still giving it away to the alliances that can't mine it?
Well, no, I mean, if people need it, I don't have a problem. To be perfectly honest, I mine Isogen kind of throughout the day because let's be honest, it takes literally no effort. I send a miner, and it mines. If somebody hits it that doesn't have a TC, it doesn't bother me at all.
Unless it's me.
Well, because again, you have a strong tendency to take more than what you need.
But how do you know that? How do you know what I need versus what I take? I have the same research you do.
Because there is no way.
Twisted, you said that wrong.
Because there is absolutely no way with the Meridian.
You said that
when
wrong.
it first came out. Go ahead.
It's not that he's taking more than he needs. That's not the issue. Mud doesn't take more than he needs. He takes what he needs for a long period of time all at once.
Yes. Okay.
Which is too much for people to bear. They don't like it.
Because we don't want to mine it all day.
If he were to have spread it out way back when, because this is what people do. They mine it all at once, right?
Right.
So if the day that they happen to mine it all at once and Mud hits every single ship, now they're pissed because that one day that they have the time to go to keep tabs on their miner all day, Mud's taken that from them, and he's taken all their OPL and all the stuff that they literally set the day aside to mine it, and then somebody like Mud comes and takes it all, most of it.
And it's like every 10 minutes.
And now, during the week when they're working and stuff, maybe they don't have time to set their miners out and keep tabs on them because they don't want to block the nodes for all their other teammates, and they don't want it sitting there zero all day.
Yes, that's exactly correct.
So it's a different perspective. It's perspective. It's if Mud were to back in the day, if he were to just take a couple loads here and there from any particular person throughout the day and were to spread out his hunting instead of trying to do it all at once and boasting about it. No offense, Mud.
Yes.
Which also rubs people the wrong way.
I apologize.
It's okay. It's not something you need to apologize for. It's just these are just cause and effect, right? So the cause is you overhunting in a single day or moment or time, or all from one alliance. And I don't blame you for getting a NONA a whole bunch because you probably have 10 times the amount of players.
How do you know it's all from one alliance?
No, I'm just saying that
because there's no way you're coming into every other system every 10 minutes at the same time that you're hitting us. Like, it's just, dude, you were literally in our system every 5 to 10 minutes. There's no way you could have gone to other systems.
I'm sure he's just doing the rounds, and I bet he was doing it to a lot of alliances. But the fact is, you go into, and I've done it, just if you go look around at other alliances, you may have 2 ships in a system. You go to NONA systems, and they got 10 ships. Well, then who are you going to hit? I mean, obviously, you go hit NONA because they got the bigger ships that are more tiered up. They can hold more. They mine faster, so they're going to get hit more. It's just reality.
Hey, let me jump in here real quick, and I'm gonna summarize this real quick. I'm gonna summarize this for everyone. Basically, this argument is which version of being lazy is more correct. That's what this whole argument is.
Thank you, Kirk.
So on one side you have, but I don't want to watch my ships, and I want to get maximum refines, and I want to get as much as I can. And then on the other side you have, but I don't want to worry about mining. I just want to, come grab it from people, and I don't want to have to worry about mining. There's 2 versions of being lazy, and there's nothing you can say or do, or no argument that's going to change that. So that is what it is. I'm putting that in layman's terms right now. So, I mean, please continue, but this is literally 2 versions of who's the laziest and which one's the least lazy and which one is justifiable. And at the end of the day, there's not really a right answer. But anyway, I guess that's just me saying I'm sick of hearing about it for the past whatever in a day. So there you go. Take it for what it is, what it's worth to you.
Thank you, Kirk, as always, coming in the clutch with the explanation that brings how ridiculous we are to light. Thanks.
Yep, it's very true. I love it.
Also, as someone who doesn't have a territory, I can tell you when I make my rounds, and I go to pretty much every single territory, I gotta say, nobody's fucking mining. MCRN probably has the most amount of miners, and that's maybe like 8. And nobody else is really mining. So trying to find OPL ISO, which is more fun, by the way, because I'm assuming we all play this game for fun. You know, I don't know what you guys play it for. Apparently to fucking dick swing at one another and start wars, which could be fun, I guess. But when I play it, it's more fun to hunt for it.
But I've got a little one.
What?
My dick's too little to swing, so I have to run my mouth.
There you go. Now we know, guys. It's recorded. We have it.
Every podcast we get a small nugget,
Yeah.
but not an actual nugget. Whatever, doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, like, there's almost nobody mining ISO. So whatever strategies people are taking in terms of mining it all at once or hitting it or whatever, and it's boring to go ask someone like, "Hey, can I get a handout? I need some ISO." You know, it's fucking boring.
It kind of makes you feel belittled, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. Right. So, to Mud's point, to your point, to Inko's point, to Kirk's point, we're all fucking lazy. We want maximum shit for no effort, but it's more fun to hunt it than to fucking mine it.
You forgot I've got a little dick.
Okay. With that said, dude, like, and I respect that. I get that. I understand it. Again, you don't have the TC, and sure, it's not very fun. Like I've already said, nobody wants to fucking mine. I get that. It sucks. Mining is annoying. It's a necessary evil, unfortunately, in this game, but it is annoying. That being said, man, like I guess for me, my perspective, okay, as we keep referencing, I don't see the thrill in hitting an AFK miner. I just don't. Like, literally, I don't think many people sit there and watch their miners. I don't find it fun. I don't think that there's any thrill to it. I feel like it's the same thing as just asking somebody, hey, can I get a load of Isogen 3 or whatever? They're AFK. So, like, what's the thrill in that? Like, I can see the thrill of the hunt if, like, somebody's deeply watching their miners, which nobody does because I would feel bad for them if they did. And they're deeply intent on watching their miners to make sure that, the vicious mud doesn't come up and hit them. Oh, like, I just don't feel like that's a thing.
We're not talking about mud right now. We're talking about me. Just
and
saying.
So I don't understand the thrill, or you, or anybody.
Maybe you should viciously watch your miner and it wouldn't get hit OPO. I mean,
I would rather spoon my eye out.
Why, dude? That's so that just makes an agonizing task severely more agonizing. Like, it is, right? So, that's just my thing, right? And I just don't understand the thrill of hitting an AFK miner. I just don't. I think that's fucking retarded. I think that there's no more thrill than sitting there watching.
So, Twisted, can I ask you this?
Sure.
Can I? Is it a thrill to raid an AFK base?
Ooh.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because there are people. Yes, it is. There is a thrill because guess what? It takes longer to raid a base. Like, if this person has 1 billion resources, it's going to take you a couple hours, and you're trying to jam in there and get as much as you can before their alliance responds to stop you from raiding. And then you have a conscious decision to make that says, hey, am I going to continue to just fight these people off and continue to try to raid, which is also obviously the more appealing factor to it, or am I going to go ahead and just try to find another easy resource base, right? So, there is a decision in that.
So, my question then becomes...
Hey, Tech?
Yeah.
Hey, Tech?
Yeah.
What do you get if someone's not watching your miner and you can hit them? And it's OPO.
They get butt hurt.
But what do you get? What's your net return?
ISO? Resources?
Whatever the resource is. If somebody's not watching their base and they're over the protected limit, which we all are, on our RSS, and you hit their base.
I don't hope so.
What do you get?
Resources.
Hey, Kirk.
Man.
What's my rating on the resources rated?
I don't know. I'm washing dishes. You look it up.
Well, I can tell you. I mean, it's not that important to most players, but as a budget-to-play player, rating is a very important part of my game. I spend hours doing it. I'm number 5. I'm the only 30s level player in the top 10, but I'm lazy.
No, I never said that you were lazy when it came to rating, dude. Like, by all means, you have.
No, he was talking about me because I called everybody lazy. He was talking to me.
Oh, okay. But no, by all standards, Mud, that's a feat. Like, I give you mad props. I fall asleep after an hour, hitting some stupid base. I find unless somebody shows up, which is when I think it's exciting, to try to stop me, then I'm engaged with it. But to sit there and send a minor, send it back, send a minor, send it back. Like, it's just fucking boring. Like, it just really is. So I usually fall asleep or give it away within an hour of hitting the base. Like, I just don't have that type of commitment to rating.
Do you bypass the resources?
Wait, hold on. I got to ask this question. Wait. Twisted. If you're gonna raid a base, right, with fat resources, do you then send a message to somebody who's on from that alliance so you could start the PvP process earlier than just sitting there and watching a miner go back and forth?
I've actually done that before. Yeah, I've actually done that before. Yes, just because I wanted to spice it up. Yeah, why not?
How often do you do that?
And was this a stronger alliance than you?
Dude, rating's boring. Rating's boring. Plain and simple. It really is. And it's so worthless at my ops. Like, it just. I mean, it just is.
To me, it's an investment. I don't buy packs for resources.
So you were bragging about how much resources you have. It was like 80 billion or something like that you've had, right? That's like 3 upgrades, just so you know.
Except by the time I get to your level, it will be more.
Yeah, there is a point of diminishing returns.
Like, it really isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. And it took you, I would say, what, 6, 8, 10 months to probably acquire all that. It's like 3 or 4 upgrades. It just isn't that much. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot to raid. I give you props on it. Significant commitment, but when you get like 42, 43, like, it just doesn't matter. It just does. That's why you don't see too many of them raid. Like, unless it's like a cool fight, like, you just don't see it.
But as a budget to play player, I'm not going to see 42, 43 probably for another year.
Yeah. Keep in mind, I don't spend a lot in this game. Like, I think I spent more in just like the last 3 months than I have collectively over the last 2 years.
Well, but I mean, it definitely can be done. So, for example, Nightoid is 39, and he has never spent 1 dime on the game. He takes it as a point of pride.
Right.
So, I mean,
and Incho's offered. So yeah, because he puts a lot of work in.
There are players on DJ's server that are like level 42 or 43 that have never spent a nickel. But obviously they have no life. But
I just don't have the patience for those SLBs.
They are also very weak 42s and 43s.
Yes, that is true as well.
That's true. Like I said, man, I'm not discounting your rating ability, dude. You raid you raid great. I mean, that's awesome, man. I wish I had that level of patience to sit there and, I guess to do that. But then I look at it like, well, that was just 1 upgrade. And it took me 5 hours to raid for 1 upgrade.
I don't think that's the point we're trying to make. I think the point we're trying to make is you say it's boring as fuck to hunt AFK OPL miners.
Right.
And I'm just trying to equate to you the boring parts of the game, which is hunting OPL bases or whatever. Right. So the point being is, however budget to play players or the people in their 30s really get their shit is more thrilling than just fucking asking for it. That's what I'm saying.
Nobody wants to ask for handouts.
Well, you got everybody. Here's the problem: is that everybody's argument, because this game is designed. It's not like the old Mario where you had to play it a certain way to win. Like, there was a certain formula that if you pretty much deviated too far from that formula, you were going to lose the game. This game is it's whatever you make of it. And the problem that people are having is that everyone wants everyone else to play the way that they want to. Hey, if you're level 42 and you want to waste hours of your day raiding for something that's not even going to upgrade one of the freaking dilithium storage units, then that's their choice, and it's none of our business to tell people what they can and can't do or what they should do or how stupid they are. I mean, yeah, we can say, I think it's very silly, but at the end of the day, if they go, you know what, that's what I enjoy doing that. And, like Mud said earlier, it's an investment for him, whatever. I think it's silly. I think it's absolutely asinine. And the only reason I rated the other day, just on basic principle, somebody from Fire changed their name to something like Nona Sucks Balls. Well, their admiral, lo and behold, was sitting in the same system as me with no shield. So just as a matter of principle, me and Jazz Doc, or whatever his name was in Nona, we freaking drained him dry just on general principle, just because I had a point to prove, right? But at the end of the day, I think it's silly. It's not up to anybody to say that mining is stupid. If there's a lot of people that want to mine and get their maximum stuff in Nona, they should be able to do that. If people want to, there's some people that say, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to hit OPL. I mean, that's where the conflict comes in. And everybody's trying to get everybody on the same page to avoid conflict. But until we realize that not everybody's playing the exact same game and truly realize it, not just acknowledge it, but truly understand and start thinking in those terms, we're going to keep having these meaningless conversations and talking around in circles.
The biggest difference,
And I can't agree with you more, Kirk, but as I stated at the beginning of the podcast, I have changed my gameplay.
in my opinion, the difference is, and the reason I think that, the vast majority of players are very much of the shield or share mentality, is because you have a trump card to play. You hit the little button, you have now a bubble over your base, you cannot be raided. There is nothing anybody can do about it. But when you have the advent of some of these ships that have to be used in order to mine efficiently, for example, if you mine with a horizon on ISO when you have a meridian, slow mining people also don't like. But that is a tactic. It was one of those things that people did all the time and, would slow mine lat. And the server basically as a whole said, we don't like that because all it does is clogs up a node and, doesn't bring more resources into the community as a whole in any way, shape, or form. But there is no alternative for somebody who is mining. There's no defensive mechanism that they can employ if they want to mine efficiently.
Recall.
So,
Recall button.
I disagree. Recall or set a guard ship. That's what I have to do. I have to set a guard ship because of my anti-popularity. I'm a prime target. Ooh, Mud's OPL. I'm going to get him.
well, but again, that's you sleep in the bed that you make. If you've become more of a priority for people, then it is what it is. But
Yeah, I think, Inko makes a good point there with that, Mud. I get along with you and I like you just fine, but you're a troll, man. It is what it is. Like, for example, I've trolled people plenty of times. I pretty much hung that up back in the day, but there's a reason why even during war, people from your alliance would message me, several people. I'd be out grinding and they say, hey man, I'm going to leave you alone, just FYI, but then I would watch another NONA ship come in and they'd get blown up by that person, but people would leave me alone, and that's,
No, I think that happens on both sides.
Well, but what I'm saying is that 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen with you.
That's actually pretty funny that you bring that up because in this most recent war, I had the player message me and he's like, man, I just want to be left out of it. Just, leave me alone. I'm like, you know what? You're asking nicely. Fine. I'll leave you alone. So I see that player in Eclipse space and I'm like, cool, I can go grind here. What do? They come over and hit me.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, the 4 players in one day that I had a lot of grinding to do from your alliance that decided to do that, they just kind of left me alone. Why? Because at some point I had rapped with them back and forth and had a conversation with them and, things like that, treated them fairly or whatever the case may be. But, that's the point. I think the point here is that you get treated a lot differently than other people based on your past history. And I'll be the first to admit that I don't see you as much in GC or anything like that. And even when I do, it doesn't seem to be near the caliber of the type of trollery that you did back in the day. But just like people with Chef hasn't done anything out of pocket in forever and a day. And there's still people that go to bed thinking about him. And, some people are just like that. So depending upon your past history, it's kind of hard to get away from that. You know what I mean? It's hard to get away from something that you did, and so people are going to treat you differently than they would maybe treat me, or maybe treat another player that's not a part of this sort of server politics that we have going on. So, I mean, I just want to throw that out there. Just remember, you're looking at it through a completely different lens. You're looking at it through a lens of people who are treating you the same way that they treated you back in the day, though you do things different now. You know, it takes a while for a newer reputation to sort of catch up. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
And I don't disagree. And yeah, I made that bet. I lie in it. That's why I use a guard ship. It's a simple solution. And, you know, I'm glad that you brought up Chef. During the war, you know, Chef came, hit my ship. I sent him the laughing emojis. And I sent him 3 or 4 messages. And Chef, I hope that you can either confirm or deny this. I was like, hey, man, you know, even though we're on opposite sides, there's no reason for us not to be civil. And then I furthered that up with an apology about whatever I said. Now, backstory on this. When Chef joined NONA, he reached out to me and did everything that he could to smooth things out. And I was very hesitant at first. And eventually I was like, yeah, thanks, man. You know, he pointed out a raid that somebody was doing. And, you know, I thought that we were cool. But then another conflict comes out, and Chef doesn't have me blocked, just won't reply, which is totally against what he says on this show.
Okay, so I can actually answer to that a little bit. At least during conflicts, we were actually specifically told not to message people, pretty much.
That is correct.
So just throwing that out there, I think Incho and Handy Incho and Handy can back that. I mean, there was at one point that Incho said he was sick of basically, you know, because he was like, don't be rude in messages, but then at one point people couldn't stop being rude, so he was like, no fucking messages at all.
Yeah, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Hopefully you have access to the love letters, and I'm not trying to narc anybody out, but we all have players that think that they're going to say something and nobody's going to find out. That's just the way it is.
If you have any messages sent, hang on, Twisted. If you have any messages,
No, Handy, I'm not going to narc people out.
yes, I want them to be narked out. We need to know.
Nope. This is about moving forward, not continuing the aggression. I'm here to cross a bridge and hopefully burn the bad one behind me.
Well, whoever sent Mud love letters that you wouldn't want me to read,
Me.
better not do it again.
Oh, I don't care if you read them.
Yeah, that's directly in our rules. You know, never send a PM.
Somebody's going to get booted.
Well, but it's again, I think
It's a game.
yeah, I have 2 points. Number one, exactly what you're saying, Mud, is exactly what we want to enforce, is that there's no reason not to be civil. You know, I think, you know, the argument's been made that wasn't always how you were, and that you have done things significantly better. But, you know, I agree with what's been said. You know, what Kirk's summaries are always very succinct, so, you know, those work. I have one question, though. When you have, and this is a point of ignorance maybe, what the hell does a guard ship do for your miner?
Nothing.
Like, are you staring at the screen the whole time? Like, I don't understand that concept.
Absolutely not.
So,
It's
what does it do?
Kirk's analogy about reaching for the cookie jar. If every time that I go and get OPL from somebody, I get popped because they've got a guard ship, and they don't even have to be paying attention. They can be going out grinding hospitals. Takes a second to get that guard ship active, go to that system, and hit the guy who just hit your miner. A second. There's no getting away from it.
Okay, so you're just talking about retaliatory. There's no like cool mechanic where, like you used to be able to park one on top of the other, you know?
Oh, that was wonderful. No, but enough times of getting your Vidar blown up and walking away with, 100,000 K where you're trying to get 300,000, you're not going to keep hitting that player.
I see what you're saying. Thank you for the explanation.
Well, it also gets to a point where it's like, it's kind of like one of those things. If somebody sees your ship sitting there, like, is he watching the screen? Is he not? You know, kind of one of those things that kind of makes you question your actions.
Oh, that sounds painful.
Yeah, definitely painful. I'm with Inco on that, man. I just don't OP on. Like, I just think it's stupid, but that's my opinion. I mean, all the power to everybody else that likes it.
Twisted, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What rate does your Meridian mine ISO 1?
The same as yours.
222,000 an hour?
My Meridians, I think, is like tier 5.
Sorry?
What on which one? Which Isogen? 3, 2, 1?
ISO 1.
ISO 1, less than, it's like 210, 220?
So you haven't really put anything into that ship either.
No, man, I got priorities. I mean, mining to me is not a priority. So, I mean, I send my miner there. Well, and that's the thing. Like, that's what I was trying to explain to you, Mud, is that nobody likes to mine. So I send, because I have empty ships. I mean, I have ships literally sitting in my docks most of the day, unless I send it out to mine. So I might as well send them out to mine. That was my point to you, man. Like, there's no way that you're using, if you're not mining, there is no way that you're using all 4 of your ship slots at the same exact time. It's just not, like, unless you're running around like a crackhead, there's no way that you're flipping between 4 different ships at the same time.
I am.
It's not possible. I mean, well, I guess it is possible unless you're Incho. But you know, he does a lot of crack. So, it's just
Wow, you really got something against crackheads, man. What is with you?
No, man, all the power to him, dude. I just not my cup.
Okay, to that point, if I may, everybody pretty much uses the same setup in their base. You've got your Armada ship. You've got your defend your base ship. You've got your miner doing whatever. You got your discovery. I got 4 slots, man. 4.
Okay.
I've got to have ships doing other things besides just mining.
So, like, the defend your base slot, like, honestly, it's one ship. One ship's not going to make a damn difference if someone wants to smack your base. It just doesn't.
Depends on who's smacked.
Like, and you're going to be alerted anyways. I mean, when was the last time you were actually raided? When was the last time you were raided, Mud?
Let's see. I think Overlord Corona got me almost a year ago for about 14 million.
Exactly. My point taken. So, okay. So you got hit 3 times for 14 million. Congratulations. Like, that's probably a big score for anybody trying to raid you. It's the same thing for me, right? People know that I'm generally going to respond, or even play dead. And I'm going to let them I'm going to watch them blow up their ships on my base because there's no way that I'm going to let somebody raid me. It's not going to happen. So, and that's just fact. It's the same thing for you. People know that you're basically not going to get raided. So why do you have a ship to defend? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Because lots of people would love to try.
Okay, let them try, but you're online. My point to all this, Mud, is that you're wasting a ship slot keeping it in your bay when you could be utilizing it to not generate salt by mining whatever you need to mine. It takes literally no effort. If you're online, killing hostiles, doing whatever, sending a ship out there instead of sending it to a defense for a useless ship slot doesn't make sense, right? It's a ship slot that you're not utilizing. That was my point. You have 4 ship slots, and unless you're Incho, you're probably not using all 4 at the same time.
Okay.
So why not send it to mine?
Whose base am I defending?
Also, I would suggest not giving out ISO personally. Maybe encourage somebody like Epi that has 6 ships laying around to do it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I don't tell Epi what to do. I'm trying to lead by example by giving out ISO.
Well, not that you would. I said encourage.
Okay, but I'm trying to lead by example by giving out ISO, and 1 or 2 of my guys have actually followed that lead.
I'm sure it's appreciated, and I'm sure there's a lot of people doing it now in your alliance because of you. But that doesn't mean you should do it all the time.
Can we just all agree that the world's not going to end if you can't max refine everything possible every day?
Oh, of course not. But you should max refine at least 1 star because that's 50% of what you can possibly, or 75% of what you can possibly.
But but it also depends on your rate of progression. I'm mostly free. I'm pretty much free to play now. I get the battle pass, and that's it. And so I can't actually research and use Isogen faster than I can refine it by a long shot. Because I'm at the point where my researchers are taking, the minimum 45, 50, 60 days, and I don't have that many speed ups in Latinum. For most people, you don't need the max refines every day. As a matter of fact, you probably don't even need the max refines, but maybe I would say maybe 4 days a week, maybe. maybe even 3, depending upon your rate of progression.
Go hunt Tigor, and you will get more speed ups than you could ever imagine. I mean, realistically, that's what I do.
I know that, but that also requires a lot of people to spend a lot more time. You know, I own a business, I have a family, I have a real social life outside of this, and not that I don't. I'm not trying to be funny here. I like a lot of you guys, and I like talking to you, but I have in-person events that I go to and do things like that. So, you know, it's all about maximizing your time and your progression and your goals. It comes right back to what I was saying earlier. All you all are doing right now, every single person in here, and I have been guilty of it, of course. Everybody has. It plays this game. All that we're doing is arguing over our opinions over what's important. When at the end of the day, it doesn't make a fuck what's important to you. It matters what's important to that other person.
Agree.
So if your priority is X, that's fine. Mine may be Y, and I may be doing something different than you. So that's the point that I'm making is all we're doing is it's like talking in circles. It's like hearing a toddler tell a story. It's like, when is it going to end? You're like, oh, and then they're like, and then Jimmy with the blue ball, and because I'm telling you, these conversations, I mean, it's just around and around and around.
I agree with you on that. So let me just circle back to what Handy said. If Mud wanted to play that way, that's great. I don't think any of us really truly cared. It's the fact that he just did it all at once. And again, I think Handy nailed it right on the head. It's like, you know, you just basically see a lot of mud, and you know, you're taking the day that I had to mine, right? Because again, like you, Tech, I mean, I have a family. I have things to do. I, own a business as well. You know, there are things that I do, right? Just like yourself, right? I don't have all day. And the day that I do have, or the time that I do set aside, my shit gets hit, and it's like, and it gets hit again, and then it gets hit again. It's like, fuck it, I'm done. That's frustrating, right? So, that's what I think Handy said it exactly the way it needed to be said. If it was a sporadic thing, like, okay, Mud got his refine today, I don't need to have to see him again. I can still continue to do my thing. Perfect, right? Maybe I see him again the next day, or maybe I'm not mining. Maybe somebody else sees him. That's the difference, right? But it's like, you don't need to OPL hunt 15 million in one day. Like, that's ridiculous.
I've never even had 15 million of any of the Isogen.
I was using that as a big number, man. Like, don't take the number and think that it's true. But
I understand it.
This is my personal opinion, and it's also the opinion of a lot of people in this game. That I had a discussion about this in a voice chat, a couple weeks ago, and we had a big discussion about it. But it's the opinion of a lot of people in this game. So it's not anything that's like I'm saying anything that's like profound and what most alcoholics would call a moment of clarity. And I'm not trying to monopolize the idea, but to me, the idea of, well, yeah, it's okay to take some ISO, but you're taking too much ISO. It's like, yeah, you can punch me in the face, but you're punching me in the face too many times. I don't. To me, there's no difference in my mind. If I'm taking something that you have, if that's available to be taken, then that's okay. Either a thing's okay or it isn't. And this is one of those gray areas, because how do you quantify what's an acceptable amount? Is it 1 hit an hour, or 1 hit a day, or 2 hits a day? See, this is where this comes in, because
No, Kirk, you're looking at it wrong, man. Nobody's trying to put a limit on it. It's up to you as an intelligent human being to figure out if you're making your presence known by an entire alliance every few minutes, all fucking day, or for 2 hours straight, or whatever it is, then that's going to have a reaction.
When in the history of ambiguity has that ever worked? I need an example.
It's up to each individual player to gauge for themselves what they can get away with.
But here's the question: when has that ever worked? Never in the history.
It works all the time. There's a shit ton of people that do things in the game and get away with it all the time.
For what?
And then there's the people that take it to extremes and are on block lists, and everybody hates them, and blah blah blah.
Define extreme. Quantify it. That's my point.
It's different for everybody.
Ooh, everybody hates? Let's get into that.
It's different for everybody.
Exactly. So I said this the other day. Where's the goalpost? Where's the finish line?
You can't quantify it.
like I just said, it's up to everybody to make their own goalposts.
Exactly.
And if it gets enough attention, then people are going to fight back and start wars over it and all this other stupid shit.
Isn't the whole point to avoid
And
it,
have
though?
3-hour-long conversations about it on Trek Talk.
Yeah, but isn't the whole point to avoid that?
Well, yeah.
My point is that you avoid it by not taking shit too far, and you're going to have to figure out what that is.
But that's the thing. How can you figure it out if people can't throw out a number?
Use your brain cells. I don't know what to tell you.
So this is the thing. Okay, and I'll give you an example. And again, I don't mean to keep using mud in this situation, but this is the deal. Well, I'll use me. So if I was to OPL hunt and I was to be a constant banter in GC and I was to constantly be out there making my presence known to a larger alliance, and for me, I would say to myself, if I don't want the significant negative attention that I've obviously accrued over my career within this game, right? My limit's going to be less than somebody that is quiet, right? That doesn't ever come out of the woodworks very often. And maybe they grab like you Trek. I mean, you or Tech. I don't ever really see you as a constant OPL hunter, or you're not constantly. And when you are in GC, you're friendly and that's great, right?
But don't you consider Tech a friend?
You would have a higher threshold than say somebody like me who has had a lot of negative activity in the past, right? So your threshold would be probably higher than say mine. Does that make sense? And you're an intelligent person, you would know that, right? You're not going to go out of your way just to be a total dick in OPL hunt unless that person's kind of done you wrong, which I can respect. But you're not going to target an entire alliance for one person, right? You're just going to make that person regrettably painful, right? So, that's their choice, right? You see what I'm saying? So if I were to go out there, my threshold's probably not going to be nearly as high, right? Because I maybe had a lot of negative activity in the past. So people may not be as forgiving to lose their OPL to me. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a understanding of yourself and the reputation you have. Mud knows that he has to have a guardship because no matter what he's doing as far as mining, because people look for him and they're like, there he is. He's one OPL. Let's smack him. Right? One. And that's just in spite of. It's not just, it's not because they thrill the hunt. It's just because they're like, I got this guy now. He's gotten me so much. That's the thing, right? So his threshold's not nearly as high, right? No one's going to tolerate it nearly as much. It's just the reputation that he has. So you see what I'm saying? You're a smart guy. You know where you're at. Like, people aren't stupid. They know what they've done.
I think Mud said it clearly, is that I am not necessarily perceived as a threat to a large alliance, whereas Mud could potentially be, based on either whatever, past behavior, current situation, current alliance that he's in, what have you. I think that's part of it. But to Kirk's point, you can't quantify it. It's different for everybody, and it varies from person to person what's too much, or what's too little, or what's okay. And again, since we're all playing different games, for Incho, he doesn't see shit. For Twisted, he sees it all the fucking time. I get wonderful messages from various alliances, and wonderful in air quotes, obviously, when I hit their OPL ISO. Some don't care. Some are like, oh, hey, I like listening to your show. Others, I get some weird ass fucking things where people call me where people say that OPL hunting is a dirtbag profession. And I'm just like, okay, I'm glad I have a job while I'm playing a game, which is cool. I also get some weird messages saying I usually leave out other miners for people to hit. Don't hit this miner. Things you should know while you're in territory. It's just different, but you can't quantify it. It's based on the individual who's hitting you, and it's based on your gameplay. And we're all playing different games here.
Right. No, and I get that. Like I did an OPL hunt. I just did an OPL hunt just the other day, right? First time, and God, I can't even remember how long it's been, right? And I hit somebody ISO 3. I didn't realize that we actually had ISO 3. I immediately sent them a message saying, hey, I'm happy to pay that back. I did not realize that we had ISO 3. We just did a lot of territory move around, stuff like that. He was pissed, and I was like, dude, I'll pay you back. I offered that before he even said anything. And then it just became an ordeal, and then I had to, reach out to his admiral to kind of smooth it over because he was pissed, and I'm like, dude, I said I'd pay you back. It was a definite innocent mistake. I apologized about it. It just wasn't worth it to me at that point. I was like, fuck it, I'm never doing that again. Like, that was, my bad, definitely. But I'm never going to do it again. Like, it just was stupid. Like, I had to deal with an hour of garbage just for, because I needed to refine. I didn't realize we had ISO 3. So that to me quantifies why I don't do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just wasn't worth it for me, period.
Anyway, so moving to the lasting piece that we were talking about, how is Twisted and Mud gonna shake hands and bro hug for the rest of eternity?
Never gonna fucking happen.
I think that, okay. So I think a lot of that stuff, that's what I want to see happen, to be honest, man. There's some really good people in both alliances, and then there's also in both alliances there's some people who, like I said earlier, there's people that there's always an issue, right? So whatever it is, individual personalities, real life issues, mishandling of emotional things going on, it's always going to be a thing in anything you do. That we as human beings, we are the sort of the X in the equation, right? We're the variable. So hopefully what I'm doing now, being an MBD, seeing how they run things, knowing how NONA runs things, hopefully I can help out and sort of try to, have people understand that. Even Handy said it earlier. I mean, pretty much every alliance has they work kind of a similar way. They may have a different focus on what they want to do. Dark back in the day was with the rating, and NONA likes getting the rewards and but hopefully I can aid in that because I really enjoy NONA. I like all the people in NONA. I like leadership in NONA. I may disagree with some of the people there, but generally I pretty much get along with everyone.
In other words, Kirk wants to come back eventually.
Well, yeah, is the fact, of course. So that's the idea, right? So, but I think that it's important for people to see someone who maybe. I'll just go ahead and say this. I can't speak for NONA. I'm not in the leadership. I volunteered to do this because obviously I'm critical of everyone. There's no one that's safe. I have a history of being pretty honest, brutally honest at times, and so I think that people understand that and they respect that. I'm gonna tell it like it is. It's hard for me. It sucks for me being in the middle because I do enjoy NONA and what NONA's about and what we do, and it's really fun. But at the same time, I think it's also important for people to acknowledge their shortcomings. And in this game, the shortcomings are generally going to stem from people. And there are people in NONA who have entitlement issues. It's a fact. There are also people in other alliances that have entitlement issues. So it's not like a mutually exclusive thing. And I think bouncing around, my purpose is to find similarities in the people so that when these sort of arguments come up, oh yeah, well, this person does this, I can say, yeah, well, this person from the opposite alliance does the exact same thing, and here's proof, or here's an example. Now what? So the point being is that we're all humans, and we all like to do what we want to do, but there's always going to be people from both sides who are fanning the flames. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Generally, those people are not the most powerful people. They're the ones who have lower repair bills. So,
like me,
that's my goal is to find those similarities and be able to point them out and just basically bring everybody out it all out in the open and say this person's doing this, but also this person's doing this, and show like you can point out the shortcomings, but it's like the old saying: you got one finger pointing at someone, you got at least three pointing right back at you. So there's a lot of similarities in that as far as the trollery and the things that are going on. Some people just can't shut the fuck up in AC. They just can't keep their mouth shut. They gotta cry about everything and keep it going and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it gets to the point where like it makes me nostalgic for my toddler throwing a fit because it's a muted version of what I'm witnessing.
Kirk, can I ask you something?
No. But go ahead.
I'm gonna ask anyway. Have you had a chance to read our row in our Discord? Since I did send you the link for transparency.
Yeah. I reacted to it. I gave it a flexi emoji.
Okay. Do you see anything different in our row versus rows in other alliance that you've been in?
I'm pulling it up right now because I have extreme ADHD and amongst other things, so I want to make sure that I don't misquote. Yeah, I do.
Would you say that it's more or less strict?
It's very similar. It's very it is very similar, and the differences are not really anything that would be noteworthy. It may be like an amount of time, a 5 minute, 1 minute, that type of thing. So it's not anything that's overly different. But the problem is that ROE is not necessarily the issue. It's the fact that both alliances, or 3 alliances, or 4 alliances, or 5 alliances, however many, whatever, believe that their culture is so different when in actuality it's not.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but I will say that there are 2 things in particular in our row that a lot of people don't understand about us, and it's actually to prevent hostilities. One of them is we don't allow you to hit floating warships.
Yeah, there is that one. Yeah.
Unless it's an alliance that is known to hit us for the same reason. And the reason for that is it doesn't affect server lag. All it does is create problems. If we clear a 0 node, it has to be with intent to mine. Period. It's not clearing 0 nodes just so that you can get another kill on your kill destroyed. It doesn't matter. We actually do these things to prevent issues. But no matter what happens, Scopely's great at creating something new to get the conflict going again, so that we'll all go spend our money so we can go beat down that other alliance.
No, they are.
And at what point are we going to say, you know what, let's play together instead of against each other, because we all have the same goal of advancing and progressing in the game?
Well, here's the problem. And this is something I believe you might have jumped into that conversation the other night. I can't remember. I know AK did. I had the conversation about the moving of the goalposts. This is where I got that. And the one thing that I said is that the only way that people are going to find an ROE that truly works is if you have an ROE that doesn't change every time they bring out something new and somebody wants to spend money on something, because then it changes that dynamics. So you got the Meridians, and people immediately went out and spent a bunch of money on it. And now they got this $250 worth of ships or whatever it is that now they want to justify spending $250 on. Now we got to change everything. We got to change it all. We got to do all this stuff, whatever. Then it's the cloaking. Then we got to discuss some things about the cloaking. Then it's this and that and this. It seems like every arc there's a thing, something happens, and there's a thing. Well, now we have to completely revisit everything that it took us an entire month. Like, we just agreed on this a week ago, and now we got to start changing it again. And so there's the problem. What's going to happen is people are going to have to realize is that Scopely pays attention to what we're doing. They know that we're making certain rules to protect certain things. Well, guess what? That's not going to pad their pocket because people aren't going to spend the money. So they're going to constantly come out with new mechanics. So unless you just make everything protected from here on out and it's just a PvE game and nobody attacks anybody, then we're going to have to find something that's going to be universal, that is going to be able to be applied in every situation. That one thing is going to be an OPL is OPL, or there has to be a quantifiable limit. None of this use your brain shit. That's not how it works. There's too many variables. There's too many different kinds of people, different kinds of gameplay, levels of maturity, levels of whatever, mental illness, anger, culture, and that's going to affect what goes on. Because I can tell you right now, from experience, there's people in NONA, if you were to hit them OPL once, dude, they're going to fucking go to sleep mad. Like, they'll go to sleep angry. And I'm not singling out NONA, it's just I've been in NONA for a while, so that's the best way. I mean, there's people in Dark, there's people like that all over the server. You hit them OPL once, they're just going to be mad as fuck for no reason. They'll kick the dog, bro. You know what I mean? Whereas you have someone like me, dude, you can hit me OPL and OPL and OPL and OPL. I don't care. To me, that's my problem. I shouldn't have let it go PL. But this is where we have to find, this is the line, this is the number, this is the point of no return. You don't cross this line, or else that's a violation. You have violated this treaty or whatever the fuck it is, pact and NAP, blah, 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 whatever acronym you want to use, because apparently we're in the military or something. You know, that's what we have to do. Without doing that, this whole, well, fucking, you know, it varies. Well, then it's not going to work. Period. Point blank, end of discussion. It doesn't work in real life. It's not going to work in the fucking game. And it's evidenced by the fact that it doesn't work. Can it work for some people? Yeah, I'm sure it does. By the luck of the draw. But it doesn't work, because if it doesn't apply to every situation, then it's not effective. End rant.
I think that's a great stopping point. We've been at this for a while. I expect sometime in the near future for Incho and Handy to clear it so that Mud can go to Nona and he and Twisted can play funsies. I think that would be fun. All right, Darius.
You know, I really hope so. My whole point of coming on the show was to burn the hate. Let's get rid of it. Let's move forward. We're going into a new year. We've got more exciting things coming up. Let's agree to disagree and move on. Hopefully, you know, Nona will accept the offer of me coming in.
In reality, we agree on a hell of a lot more than we disagree about.
Which is why I accepted the negotiation, whatever it is, hoping to get into Nona, not to spy on Nona, not to give a bunch of people a hard time, but to let people get to know who I am outside of general chat. Because the mud in general chat isn't the same mud in AC.
Of course not. Anybody who thinks that's not thinking.
Darius, you had the last word.
Oh, I slept through the last half of this. I'm sorry.
So did I.
That's all right. Just make it up. I don't give a fuck.
No, Mud's not wrong. We're not wrong. We're all trying to do the same thing. Let's just have some fun and try and maybe lower the temperature. Invective. That's about it.
Excellent. I think.
Also, I've got a bunch of ISO miners that have been sitting there waiting for you to steal them, Tech, and you just ain't getting for them. I guess they're just going to have to recall them. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not out ISO hunting right now. I'm doing Eclipse shit.
Oh, fair enough.
All right, guys. I want to thank everybody who's been on here. Incho, Handy, Kirk with his excellent explanations. Twisted, thanks for coming on, and Mud, thanks for joining us, man. Hope you had fun.
I appreciate it.
Hopefully, certain host didn't interrupt you this time.
Actually, that was very much
appreciated. All right, guys.
Thanks, all.
All right, guys. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Helps with the algorithm. Do all the things social media asks you to do. And for Trek Talk, I'm Techman16.
And I'm Techman16.
And I'm Techman16.
And I'm Techman16.
And for all the Techman16s out there,
thanks for the handicast with Tech and Kirk.
Thanks for listening. Excellent. We'll see you guys next time. Feel free to jump in the after party.
After party bound.